You know what's sad is she's sitting there with everybody, and they won't let her come near me. Why? Because they think that I'm a risk to her. When the thing is I'm protecting her and teaching them a lesson. You know, I'm teaching them a lesson fundamentally about law enforcement when they're chasing you in a car and they got the lights on. Uh, you know, with the modern day technology, with us having the satellite programs that I have, why are you engaging someone in a high speed chase? And you have to understand this. This is being addressed to all law enforcement that takes an oath, and you get in a car that's provided by us. When you run a stop sign and you're a high rate of speed, even though you have lights on, you're in violation of the law. That means that person that you're chasing, that ticket you're going to do, that arrest, it's null and void because you broke the law to apprehend. Then when they get away from you, you lose them, you're still in a high rate of speed, and what have you done? You've fundamentally done worse than what the criminal has. And what I'm trying to do is stop and prevent you from that. We have the technology now that nobody can outrun a radar, nobody can outrun a satellite, nobody can outrun anything. We're going to start weeding out police officers. We're going to start going through everything. There's not a thing that you have done that cannot be backtracked and recorded. It doesn't matter if you're not wearing a camera, you don't have a camera in your car. These satellite technologies, from the time you took an oath, have been put on you and you don't realize it. Your home life, your everyday life, everything you do. I'm a firm believer when you are drafted into something and you sign an oath to uphold the Constitution or to represent citizens of the community that you're in, I'm a firm believer that at that point in time, you have no right to privacy, especially when you're deployed with a weapon and you have the technology to take people down. This right here is going to get the right people into jobs that we need there and fundamentally be able to create jobs for veterans and actually take weapons away from people that don't need it. If you're a law enforcement or a veteran that has ever had to use a weapon and take a life, you have no business in being a person that is allowed to carry one, and I'm a firm believer of that. You want to know why? I don't carry one. I would use it. I would use it to the point that you would not be able to take it away from me. And that fundamentally why? Because I've had to carry a weapon my whole life. I willingly give up my right to have a weapon, even though I like to hunt and stuff. Why? Because there's always a temptation into carrying it. You get a false sense of security when you're carrying a sidearm or a rifle with you. And your first notion is when you've been trained to use it to kill somebody, you pick it up and you pull the trigger. I want to be able to get people where, yes, a weapon is a backup, but if we get them trained and cross-referenced to be able to become game and wildlife, we can get them armored vehicles, a heavier machine gun, instead of seeing police officers in their uniform wearing all this tactical gear, having to go through the woods. If you're trained and equipped to be able to be game and wildlife, you already know that you have every bit of technology and equipment in your vehicle that you need, and you can actually be deployed by yourself. Nothing says, do not fuck with me, like having an automatic an M4 or something where you can mow down a car. And see, people are going to say, well, that's not fair. Well, you know what? Until you realize that there's only fundamentally a few branches of law enforcement that are technically constitutionally have the ability to detain and arrest you and hold you in federal facilities, then you realize all of these are just private entities operating kind of in a legal manner like Blackwater does during a time. But you've allowed it. It doesn't mean that these law enforcement officers, these officers are bad people. It just means they work for a company that's going to get absorbed by another place. And I'm a firm believer, if you're going to have hunting rifles, we need more of game and wildlife officers than we do need of local police officers in any of these things. We also have to understand this too. We have to start going through attorneys and public defenders and district attorneys and all this stuff. We have to go through and get rid of all the corrupt and stuff. I'm a firm believer that a person should be able to step into court with his bare arms, and if he's being accused of something, if you get your ass whipped in the courtroom, it probably means he was innocent. If a judge doesn't come down and look you in the eyes and doesn't do their job to look at you, their job is to watch your mannerisms, to study you, to do all these things. They don't do that. They allow it to people in a jury pool that aren't trained in any of these things, and they say it's a jury of your peers. Well, I'm sorry. Anybody that gets up on a platform and has the ability to speak with integrity and intensity, and they show that they will kill for it, they're going to win.